It was all like totally new. I had to learn like a dozen trades. I haven't really owned a place that I've lived in for a long time, so like I took the opportunity to build in my own sound system. It's been running great, so I'm happy with that price. I was huge into cycling, so I needed to make room for these. Hi, I'm Aaron. Come take a tour. I was originally thinking of doing a microwave, and my wife actually really wanted an oven because she loves cooking, so we got a propane oven here. It's a Furrion. Propane and stuff is all like contained in here, so we have propane like down here, feeds the oven. This kitchen area kind of like had to be crammed in because like I ended up with a giant thing on the other side. So a lot of it was just fitting stuff in and trying to make it work. Like I wanted a nice big sink. I had to fit it between like front and back, so I just ended up with this hammered stainless steel sink, which ends up looking super nice, but it was a little pricey. Upper cabinets were like the end of the build, and I didn't have room to put giant sheets of plywood in my van, so I just wanted something that I could fit in the van. So I just kind of like, they had these like 1x12 boards at Home Depot, and I had these leftover pieces of aluminum from the ceiling. So it was the perfect size, so I just routed it out, glued it in. When I first built this, I only had like upper lights and nothing under here, so this is actually just a product I found on Amazon with this giant battery, which I glued a magnet to so it doesn't fall off. But it is super handy for washing dishes and making coffee in the morning and brushing teeth and all that stuff. As far as lighting, we also have these strip lights, which I did partially because I'm too lazy to do puck lights. And I didn't want to deal with all the wiring to different spots, so I just taped these in, wired them up to 24 volts, which is actually stepped up from 12 volts because they're high density strips, and high density strips only run on 24 volts. They're white adjustable, so I can work with like blue light, and then in the evening I can like switch it to more chill evening vibes. I was wondering what to do here, and the lights actually kind of are the reason for this, because I wanted this light to be straight across. So got some leftover wood from the cabinets, glued it all up, everything's glued, barely any nails or screws. Super handy spot to store my wife's makeup products or showering products, stuff like that. Power was one of the first things I did so that we could like just go out and work and use it. I put 2 100 amp hour lithium batteries I bought off eBay, actually, over this wheel well in a box down here. I got a 2000 watt Renogy inverter, pure sine wave. It works fine for a lot of stuff, but certain items with a ground plug just trip the inverter, and I think it just is a problem with the inverter, because I've looked into this for a long time. But that's one thing I would change brands. I got a Renogy solar 40 amp charge controller, and that has been working perfectly. It's got Bluetooth, so I can see how much solar I get each day. Put 400 watts on the roof of solar originally, and after living in the van for about a month, and this was in Arizona in the sun, it was winter, but it was still full sun, and it just was not enough to keep up with us because we have to like have windows covered and lights on so to reduce glare, and then like I have music running and 2 laptops, and it just wasn't enough, so I added another 200 watts, and that's good most of the time. When it's not, I have a Sterling 60 amp battery to battery charger, charges from the van battery, and I just run the engine or drive the van. I put all the electrical stuff over the C-pillars just as a design choice to cover the metal. Turns on the inverter. I leave it off most of the time. I just turn it on for work, charge a laptop, or to run the Starlink, which I just bought a couple months ago. Battery power, 100%, because we're in full sun in Arizona and we're not working today. All right, so when I was a teenager and started driving, I discovered I could like just park anywhere. I'm like, it'd be fun to just like drive somewhere, park there, hang out with friends, whatever, like go to a new city, meet people. And it was just like in the back of my mind, because I've always been kind of adventurous and wanting to explore, see new things. We considered doing like a liveaboard on a sailboat for a while, but we had jobs in the office, so we never ended up doing that. And then a lot of people, I think, us included, 2020 pandemic hit, everyone's working remote. We're both just like, we're gonna do it. So we lived in San Francisco at the time, and we had a house we rented out in Arizona. So we sold the house, moved just out of San Francisco to save and rent and make the build easier. Searched for a van. I chose ProMaster because it's wide, nice boxy shape, and just started building on the street. I don't have much prior experience building. When I was a kid, I grew up with like 6 siblings, and my parents did like making us work on the house, like painting rooms, building walls, building a shed, doing tile, just a little bit as a kid here and there. I'm a structural engineer, so I can like visualize 3D and know how things fit together. But it was all like totally new. I had to learn like a dozen trades. But I did have AutoCAD skills, 2D, but super useful for drawing everything out. So one of the important things I wanted is a lot of food space, because I just don't want to go grocery shopping every 2 days, and trash space. So a lot of this was just trying to fit it in between the toilet and my workstation. Got a 90 quart, I think, 12-volt fridge from Home Depot in a giant drawer. But this fridge kind of made the whole cabinet super large, because like it needs vent space in the back, and then it has a back, and then like, I don't know, it just ended up a little bigger than I thought. Trash can. I feel like a lot of like builds just have like a tiny little thing under the sink, and I just wanted like to be comfortable and just have space for everything. So like I built this whole dedicated drawer. Top drawers. Just built 2 giant drawers. Drawers are kind of difficult to build, so 2 big drawers is easier than a bunch of little ones. Put some dividers in there. All the drawers are locked closed with these RV Labs latches. You kind of like hold the drawer closed and like pull on it, but then it doesn't fall open when you're driving. One of the side effects, I thought it was a bad thing, but it ended up being a good thing. This huge fridge head was this huge countertop, which we really love, because we can just like put stuff here, like hang out for like the day and not worry about like cramming stuff in. We can prep a lot of food here. This is a standard kitchen countertop from Home Depot, and it's 25 inches deep, and this ended up being slightly more than 25 inches deep actually. So there was like an extra inch gap back here. Another error that resulted in something cool, because I got to like run some wires for my stereo. So this is actually like, I haven't really owned a place that I've lived in for a long time, so like I took the opportunity to build in my own sound system. I got a little amplifier in here, stereo, all the wires I ran under this shelf. Feeds 4 ATV speaker pod speakers. It also feeds the subwoofers down here, which have their own dedicated amplifier. The subwoofers are actually on a source selector, which automatically turns on when I turn on the cab stereo, so I get subwoofers for that, or subwoofers for this, and it makes music sound so much better. So much better. I actually built the subwoofers myself, and I've never done anything music related or electric related at all. So it was a lot of work, but it was worth it in the end, because I needed something here to rest my feet on. I did upgrade the cab stereo system also, because that really helps with road noise to have like a good sound system. And ProMaster stock system is not good. upper cabinets, tons of dry food storage. Again, I don't want to go grocery shopping all the time, so it's nice to have all that space. And then clothing, and I just built this wide open, and I just used some leftover wood to like put a shelf in there and a random divider that isn't even bolted in, but it works. Keeps my stuff from her stuff. I bought the van in 2020. I bought a used van. It had 50,000 miles on it. It cost $26,000 after I talked down the dealer. It's been running great, so I'm happy with that price. The build itself cost more than that. Cost about $33,000. That is inflated because I had to buy like a couple $1,000s worth of tools that I didn't have. And I had to buy a lot of stuff at Ace Hardware because that was a few blocks from home. And I had to buy in small quantities, and I was learning, so it could be done for less. I did splurge on a couple things, like this teak countertop is $700. The tires and suspension and bug wall and awning and window covers, that all adds up a lot. The sound system I put in was also a big splurge. But without all those big splurges, if I already had the tools, I probably could have done it for like 15. This is like the best experience of my life ever, by far, the last like couple years. We get to just drive wherever we want, camp in beautiful places, meet amazing people, meet them again like 2 months later in a completely different state, meet them again in Baja. We actually met a couple to travel into Baja with, and we also traveled in with this couple parked next to me right now. And our plan was just caravan down for a week to an event, and we are still together. One of the couples went off, but like we caravan for like 3 months, and just meeting people and hanging out with them and just traveling around. It's amazing. A lot of people buy like Nature's Head or like other products, and I looked into a lot of those, and I went the homemade route for a few reasons. One, I wanted to like conceal it in a box anyway, so it was going to be a lot of work. And two, I didn't want the hassle of the agitator and like cleaning it out. And the homemade one, I just put a bag in a horse bucket, and it works really well. I did buy a jug from Kildwick in Germany, and they also have a good bucket, which I might do next time. It's a good jug. It's 2.5 gallons. It's rectangular. It's the perfect size. I just cut a hole in the lid and put a funnel in, like kind of homemade, so it doesn't spill when I drive. But that's all just buried in my first ever box I ever built. All right, so the bed platform is actually just like 2 sheets of plywood sandwiching 1x2s in the middle, kind of like a composite section. And the reason I did that is because I have bikes I store underneath, and I wanted space to sit up, so I was just trying to be as thin as I could, and it's like 1 5/8, which is thinner than IKEA beams, but it was a lot more difficult than IKEA beams. So next time I might just go with that, but it was fun. It was the first thing I did after the floor. Bought 3-layer memory foam from Foam Factory, which is a common place people get foam from. It's custom size. It's almost a RV short queen, but it's 58 inches wide instead of 60. So we went with the bunk windows, both sides. It's nice I think it's nice to look out both sides. When I'm parked in town, I can peek out and see who's around me. And when it's hot, it like brings the air from the back all the way to the front where the fan is. Window frames actually was something I was not looking forward to because I just could not figure out what to do. And I've been loving all of these aluminum things. So I just picked up some angle, cut the corners at a 45 degree, taped them on with VHB tape, and they've stayed on for 1.5 years. Garage. This build kind of revolved around the bikes. I was huge into cycling, so I needed to make room for these. My wife's bike, my bike, and so it's a pretty standard layout. Got all the electrical stuff in here, kill switch, breakers, wheel well water tank on this side. when I slide the drawers out, I can actually like open up these cabinets to access my systems, my water and my electrical system. I have a 5-gallon hot water tank above the water back in here. It's heated by engine coolant. It's in ISO temp, I think. It can also be heated by 120, but I never do that. I got little cubbies in the door to stash bike stuff or awning stuff or any other random thing I want to just throw back here quickly. I think you have to know if you want to do it. I think if you know you do, then you're right, probably. But well, I think some people might be unsure and they just think it's fun, but they've never been camping or something. Like, if you've been camping, if you've been backpacking, and you know you can tolerate just a fewer comforts. I still have a lot of comforts in this van, but you don't need all that much. And if you know you don't need it, then it's not that difficult. One of the biggest things you want in the van is a toilet, in my opinion, and a lot of people I've met. Toilet in the van. I should have done it a long time ago. I mean, I couldn't because I didn't work remote, but like, I probably could have like made something work. But I was not expecting it to be as good as it is, and I fully expected it to be great. So just exceeded expectations, and like just putting me in different environments than I ever would be in. Kind of like it does open my mind up to like try new things a lot, actually, that I would never try. Like, we went scuba diving in Baja, and I'm afraid of being underwater, so I'm just like, I'm doing all the new things. I'm not gonna die, I'll be fine. So it's fun to try new things. Thanks for watching the tour. If you wanna follow me or ask me any questions, you can find me at Aaron V. McDevitt on Instagram, Aaron V. McDevitt, or you can find our van account at pizza.pocket.van.